the wig or no wig?
Yeah, us. Richard, push the button.
Right, we're live now, I think. So there's actually about a 20 to 30 second delay going on to Facebook.
Just waiting on feed. Okay. He says. We'll start with a bit of banter anyway, and just how are yous and Gailey getting up early and all that.
It's okay, might be about to drop in here.
Okay.
Okay, yep, we're live.
Okay.
Yep. Hi, Jody and Jill are on. Thanks for joining us.
Yep. Okay. I can't get it yet. Yeah. Okay, it's good. We've got people jumping on now, and we've got Rob and Gailey ready to go.
Yeah.
Gailey is up extremely early. What time is it in Australia, Gailey?
It's 5 a.m. now.
5 a.m. Goodness, what time did you have to get up? Around 4?
Yes, just after 4 I got up.
I know. So that's how much Gailey loves us, that she's got up at 4 a.m. in the morning to come and be with us. Rob, you didn't have to get up that early.
I'm 58. I've stayed up. That's my miracle.
You didn't go to bed.
Well, no, I didn't even have my afternoon nap.
Hello to us all.
Oh dear. Yeah, hi everybody watching. It's good to have you all with us. We'll give a few minutes before we get right into talking. So we're just we've been chatting for a wee while here, just technically testing everything to Rob and Gailey. We've decided to call Rob Bob Rob tonight, so we're going with the Rob.
Rob, okay.
I think
Rob.
Are we?
Well,
I think so. Oh, he said Bob. Oh,
yeah,
we're going with Bob. We're going with Bob.
And what's more, God said Bob too.
Yeah.
Bob said Bob.
Gailey was telling us all, just for those coming on, as you jump on, Gailey was telling us that her she had a dream that she would be doing this. And then I spoke it out the next day. It really is quite amazing, actually. So here we are, her prophetic dream coming true. Gailey, isn't that right?
Yes. And it was God who said Bob.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there we are.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll go with God. God's version.
You should have said that God said 12 o'clock Australian time as well.
Yes, I didn't think about that one.
We've got our son-in-law's mother, Elizabeth, is on from Cape Town, South Africa. So welcome, Elizabeth.
Yes, and Rayanne's watching probably as well. So that's good. Yeah. Okay,
So what time is it? We're about 8 o'clock, so we'll hit the start button on my timer. So hi everybody.
Yes.
And we have over 30 people now watching on Facebook. We can't presume there are people on YouTube that platform as well watching. So you're all very welcome. And of course, Helen and I do something every Wednesday night. It's been a wee bit different each Wednesday. So it is different again tonight. And we're very pleased to have our good friends and good friends of Grace Generation. Bob Carley is with us. You can see him on the screen. He's obviously been up at church a few times and spoken at our Rise Women's Conference. And our friend Gilia is up very early. What time did you say?
It's 5 a.m. in Australia now.
5 a.m. in Sydney.
Yeah.
So Gilia is live from Sydney, Australia. So Gilia, thank you for getting up early and joining us.
Yeah, we really just felt that we wanted to address some issues around mental health and in this season of lockdown and some of the things that people are going through. And when Paul and I were talking about that, we felt who better to ask really than both of you, because we know both of you have a background in this area, which we'll talk about in a wee moment. But we really do appreciate you doing this. So do you want to actually start off, Gailey, just telling us a wee bit?
Just before we do that, just so that everybody knows, we want to just give a mention out and a big thank you to Rick.
Yes.
Who is actually administering all this from his house.
Yes.
And making sure everything's working, which we hope it is. We can see on our phones the Facebook feed, so it looks to be all okay, and we can see your comments, so that's good. So big shout out to Rick for his help.
Rick.
And maybe if things go as things go on, if you have a question when you're listening to Bob and Galia, you can put it up, and Rick will be able to send it across to us on our screens on our laptop. But okay.
Yes. So, Galia,
on the Grace Generation.
Start off. Yes. On the Grace Generation. Do you have guys from your church watching as well, Bob?
I think so. We've given them the links, and so there might be some people watching. On if anyone from Galia's church is watching, they really love her. Because they got up at 5.
Yeah. So, Galia, do you want to give us a wee bit about yourself and tell us about your family? Tell us a wee bit of your background, even in what you do and have been doing over the last while of years with your job as well.
Sure. So I'm a trained clinical counsellor and have been for the last 20 years or so. I specialise in my counselling. My specialty areas are relationships and family and trauma. And I've had several jobs. I mean, way back in the day, I started off as a nurse and then I retrained and became a counsellor. So now for the last 6 years, I worked in anti-human trafficking with the A21 campaign, which was just wonderful. And that was just helping do the programs to restore victims of trafficking. From there, I've gone into teaching and training and lecturing in a university college here in Sydney. And that's been another step up. I'm really enjoying it. I absolutely love it. So career-wise, I've done a whole lot of different things, you know, from face-to-face personal counselling to group work to now lecturing students and continuing with some of the face-to-face counselling. I'm married. I have 2 grown-up children, 3 grandchildren, an 8-year-old grandson, 6-year-old granddaughter, and 2.5-year-old grandson. 2.5-year-old is keeping us all extremely busy. He's just a typical 2-year-old. And they're all just, they're amazing and are doing well in this very interesting season that we're in. And my husband and I have both been working from home for the last weeks, which we've never done before, like most people. So that's interesting. And I just really love the opportunity to be able to help people through times when they just actually don't understand what's going on. And I think this is one of those times at the moment. So, I'm really grateful to be with you. I love Grace Generation, love being an island. A little bit sad at the moment that lockdown stops us from travelling, but I'm sure that's not forever.
No, because you had flights booked. You were coming in this year to our women's conference. You were coming to it, you and Clive. So obviously lockdown, that's a little bit different now. So, but it is lovely to have you with us, Galia. So Bob. I keep calling him Rob now. Bob.
So,
do you want to give us a wee bit of a story about yourself?
Story about myself. I for the first third of my working career, I was in a bank, financial institution. Absolutely loved it. Loved the people. I think I love people. That's probably the thing. Hated the hard side of asking people for the money back. So I would have been the world's worst lender. I'd be like, yeah, take it. Off you go. It's kind of like, so I didn't like to get the money back bit. I struggled, I suppose. I often joke that I would be at meetings in the bank when people are going 1%, 2%, and I'm there going like green, blue, laughter. So I had a whole different vocabulary than most people. And that kind of brought me into sales in the bank, and then into sales and marketing in the bank. And to the bench, I kind of went, I actually don't really fit. It was just different. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to grow people. I just felt I need to move and inspire people and try and help people find their best. And I think that, I genuinely think that came from my Christian upbringing. I'm unusual in the Republic of Ireland in that I was raised in a Christian, born-again Christian home. And I saw parents who just sowed their life into other people to bring out the best in them. And that was such a massive influence on me. I just was like, actually, I think that's what life was about. And so the journey was then where people would, I suppose it would loosely be described as a motivational business trainer. So it was, and genuinely, I got to travel around the world through God's blessing. I met people who brought me to unbelievable places. I've been, the first time I was being brought somewhere on a private jet, and I was just sitting there thinking, I'm living someone else's life. I'm living someone else's life. That's like, I couldn't believe it was me. And I was like, I could be on cash. So it was, so that journey into that space. And then because I was speaking into people's lives, I kind of went, what if you're saying the wrong thing? So it was kind of this duty of care, like kind of to say something that had no training behind it or teaching behind it. Now, I know there's a load of wisdom in just miles on the road and life-wise, but I just decided to train as a psychotherapist, just really. So I was like, not saying the wrong thing. And the journey in that was 3.5 years of amazing training, which just let me get that space where my head and my heart were in sync, saying the same thing. And that my heart, because I speak from my heart all the time, and I just have to be careful that my heart doesn't say things that your head can't back up, if that makes sense. So it's and so I studied that, and that's been a great blessing, both being a pastor and as a dad and a granddad, and as a husband. It's been a really fantastic journey of learning, and I always say like that. My dad is 88 and he's a legend. And I was down there about 4 years ago, and he said this, and it just stuck with me. He said, you know what I saw on the Discovery Channel last night? And that struck with me, that at 84, my dad was still discovering. And I think that's what I want to be. I want to be an explorer in life and find out what is there for me to find and for me to help people to flourish. Had some fantastic happy days in my life, had some terribly sad days in my life. But God is good all the time, and so I'm delighted. I love your church. Coming up with that, which is I love your just love your sense of normality and realism. It's gorgeous. If I could be aspire to be a church, that's what we want to create, is that sense of belonging and fun. I love your sense of fun. So maybe that's why I'm attracted to Grace Generation Church, because it's and the fact that Paul's an ex-banker as well doesn't do any harm. So
you love the crowd.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's great. That's great, guys. So as we are in lockdown, and there's a few questions that we have already sort of looked at tonight, and then obviously people can send their questions in as well. So really, if you look at lockdown, how best do you feel that people can cope with their emotions in this time of lockdown? Maybe Galia, you want to kick it off, and then Rob, you can come in on the back of that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. A lot of people haven't actually thought about how emotionally going to cope with lockdown, because it was kind of thrust upon them, and then all of a sudden they found themselves in a set of emotions or experiencing emotions that they weren't really sure about and weren't expecting. So I think one of the most important things for all of us, because it happens for all of us included, no matter what our knowledge is, and I'm sure Bob would agree that no matter what our knowledge is, we all have an emotional response to this lockdown. So one of the most important things for all of us is to just take a moment and realize that what is going on for us is an emotional response. It is, we're feeling a little bit frustrated because we can't go and see family, or we can't drive for a long distance, or we're feeling angry that we're locked in the house with the whole family. There are so many different emotions that all of us will be feeling, and we then have to know how to manage those emotions. And I think number one, identifying the emotion you have first, and then realizing, what am I doing with that emotion? How am I projecting it? And then what am I going to do about it?
Yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Rob, is there anything you want to come in on the back with that?
Yeah, Galen nailed it on the head there, is that we, knowing all the stuff we know, it's just, you actually just know what's wrong with you when it goes wrong with you. You just go, oh no, what that is. So I to add to what Katie said, like, for most people who are watching this come from a church background, so they become on with a church head on you, and there's almost that we have an added guilt on us that we're going, well, I can't feel frustrated because I'm a Christian, or I can't be angry with the person sitting beside me with the controls for the TV because I'm a Christian, or I can't get cross with my kids because I'm supposed to be a patient father, and all that stuff loads into your head as well, and we're inclined to suppress our emotions because we're supposed to. And I just, when Gail used that word, frustration and emotion, like if you put the two of them together, I'd say a lot of people are going through frustrated emotions at the minute because they're like, how do I express this? And I listen, I'm freaking out some days. There's days where I'm kind of going, one more day of this and I'm going to go off my box. Like I'll just go flip it, So I was actually thinking during the week there, like, it's almost as if you have a range of emotions that on a daily basis you'd express. So you'd be absolute fun and laughter and joy. You might stop at the traffic lights and get angry with someone, or you might, someone might cut you up in traffic and so when you're in a house all the time, a lot of those aren't getting expressed. So I found myself like expressing anger because the dog dripped water on the kitchen floor, something small. It just was like, in the great scale of life's disasters, it was nothing but just every other emotion that I had poured into this flashpoint, and completely out of scale with whatever happened. It's almost like I've kept all this and I'm just waiting on something to do something so I can let it out. So that frustrated emotions, I love, Katie, I think that's, for me, if I was to describe it, that's probably the biggest feeling of it all. And I know, and we might talk about this as we go on, I know for sure every one of those emotions starts with a thought in my head. It's like, once I think it, then I feel it, and maybe and that's just to prove I'm a shocking holy Christian. Let me put a Bible verse in here, okay? That verse that says, "Take captive your thoughts." That's the thing that I'm hanging on to in the lockdown. That's my go-to verse. What's that thing saying?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting when I think for all of us, that we've journeyed now, for us over here, and I'm sure in the south of Ireland too, not so sure if it's been the same length of time, Galia, for you, but we're in our 7th week now, and it's been interesting the change. At least I think you can see a change that is happening when you talk to people. At the initial thing, there was a lot of fear, there was a lot of panic, there was all that crazy buying went on. And then it's nearly like after a week or two when people realize we're not going to run out of food or toilet roll, and then there comes an adjustment to learning to live in a different way of doing it. And now, as you both said there, I think there is nearly an element of frustration just wanting to get out, wanting to we're trying our best, not to say to get back to normal, but to look forward to whatever the new normal is, but to break out of some. And so there's things obviously that go on in people's heads that will challenge our sanity at times. We'll touch on some of the obvious ones in a few minutes, but it's just an interesting observation of where we're at as a people and how we cope with these sort of global pandemics and how it localizes itself into our own lives. So it's an interesting one.
It is, it is. It's funny the different emotions I felt. It was the other day, and I'm not ever like this. I actually thought I would love to smash a plate, and I thought, I actually walked into the kitchen. I thought I would love to smash a plate right now for no particular reason that I could even. And I thought, where did that thought come from? It was really quite random. I thought that's so weird. And then obviously I didn't smash a plate, and we kept going with the day. But I was just thought, what a very strange. I think there's different things we're feeling, and we don't even know why we're feeling them as well.
Father, we just want to lift up our brother Paul and pray for protection on him at this time.
It wasn't Paul. I didn't want to hurt Paul. I just wanted to smash.
We've been doing, with many people in our church family have been doing the Holy Trinity marriage course.
Yeah.
So I think it was probably only that saved her wanting to break a plate. Not me.
That's hilarious. No, I'm so funny. In an Irish course, life. No.
Yeah, no, but it's
one of the Go ahead. All right. Well, I go. One of the other big things that people genuinely are facing in this time is people who are on their own or people who are feeling lonely. That's a very real issue for people. And how do people cope with that? If that's something that they're faced with every day. And it's one thing having somebody to talk to in your home makes a massive difference to you. You've got other community around you, families, even sometimes you want space from that, but having that there, but to have nobody else in your home or people to talk to, what would you suggest how people deal with that and the emotion? That actually can cause quite a lot of emotion for people to go through too, in a different way.
Yeah, very much so.
I think you're the relationship.
Go ahead, Gilia.
I think that for a lot of people who are living on their own, that one of the most important things they need to do is reach out through whatever various connections they have, whether that be telephone, Facebook, or FaceTime, etc. Also, I think one of the things we need to do as a community, which I've noticed just in the apartment block we live in, there's several people who live on their own, and all of us have become very aware of the people around us. So just being able to ensure that someone checks on that person. I know that we can all go for a walk, so texting and saying, I'm going for a walk at this time, I'm going to pass your door, just come to the door, and just have that 2-meter conversation can make a difference to people. Talking to the neighbours, just talking to your neighbours over the back fence. I think we've forgotten some of these old school ideas that we used to do all the time. And I think people need to do the fence to the neighbour.
Yeah, that's good. That's good practical way to do some of those things. Yeah. Because then you've got that, and then you've got people who are on their own, but then you've got people then who are in households, they're homeschooling, they're working from home, there's children 24/7, and they've got all of that going on. And then how do you then find space? How do you cope if you're parents together or a single parent with families like that? What way do you do? What's some of the things that would be helpful for people who are in those situations? Maybe you want to kick that off, Rob.
So I've done a number of webinars for businesses, and obviously I put my head around some of this stuff and what's going on in my house at the minute, and if I just put what three things do I do the most to keep us sane? I have relationships, reality, and routines. They're my three things. So relationships, reality, and routines. And to speak to for the I'll give you an example. So when this started, this is going to sound crazy. So when this started, like, I'm fantastic. I don't have to shave because I'm not going to work, right? And so I decided to grow what's now become known as a bunker beard, is what everyone calls him. He's got a bunker beard, right? So and then after, because it grew quite fast, and after about four weeks, I was like, there's something wrong with me in myself. Does that make sense? So it was like, what is wrong? And the beard was starting to feel like, I don't know what. And then I suddenly went, because you've lost one of your routines. You've lost shaving as a routine. That piece. And listen, I was making up all sorts of, I would say things like, it's very good for my skin to get a break from the shaving, like, I'm 58. My skin doesn't need a break. It needs surgery, right? It's like, so I'm going, like, but I was telling myself this, like, this is good for your skin. And then I went, no, actually, you lost a routine. You need to get that routine back to reestablish your day as a routine. I have a daughter, Joanna, who's as my granddaughter. I'm actually going to get upset, don't you? Tess, who I'd love to see and love to hold, and she's just getting older, and we're not allowed at the minute. So that's sad. But Joanna's journey over the last 3 months has all been about routine with Tess. It's been like Tess was waking up 460 times during the night for a feed, and Joanna was exhausted. And I went, Joanna, I don't know, I can't really remember what we did with those babies, but I just kind of went, at one stage you went into a cot and we didn't see you for the rest of the night. That was, so Joanna got in a sleep doctor or whatever came and trained the baby to have a routine. Turns out the baby loves routine. And I think it turns out we all love routine. So we've got to be careful that, like, so even with your kids, it's like, if we're homeschooling, let's put it, and it doesn't have to be a full day school. Once we do an hour, and then they know that hour is a break, and then we have lunch as opposed to the 7 meals we have. Like, we're eating like cows, we're grazing now. Whatever passes you gets eaten. So that's the routine to grab back. Funny things like dressing, like loads of people, I'm not going to work, so I just, I'll stay in my day pajamas and I'll put on my night pajamas tonight when I go to bed, and that's a routine gone. So one of the big things that I try and do, and I don't always get it right, because listen, I'm a speaker, right? So it's like, do what I say, don't do what I do. I try and have routine, and one of the routines I try and have is with relationships, and that's checking in with people I love. And Gailey was that, like, for lonely people, Paul, and the question you asked about lonely people, also for people to take responsibility, and don't be afraid to reach out. If you're lonely, tell someone. It's very hard to guess if someone's lonely. So just like, especially in church, we need people to stand up and kind of go, I'm really struggling. It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're less than. It means you're honest.
Yeah.
And listen, we're lucky we can reach out to the person on the other end of the T. But listen, church is full of people who are there for reachers outers. Like, we're that's what church is. It's like, I'll need you tomorrow. You need me today. But I won't know unless you reach out. So just, and your Grace Generation Church is such a supportive, open, loving, hold your church. And like, it's the daddy's jacket that we talked about at the conferences. There's a hug, virtual hug waiting, but no one knows you need it till you come and go, I'm actually not having a great day. And even if you are with someone, you can be lonely. I don't know if that makes any sense, but you could be living with someone and be lonely and just kind of go, I love you, you're my significant other, but I miss the lads in church, or I miss the girls, and I miss my friends, and I miss the prayer group, and I miss the outreach, and but we won't know unless people say it. So one of the things I always talk, when I'm talking to people, I said, please, please, please reach out. So maybe that's another R. So reach out, and if we can just get our churches and our communities not to be afraid to reach out. It's like, it's the strongest thing to do. Now, reach out from 2 meters. Don't touch anyone. Just reach out.
No, that's so good.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Excellent. Yeah.
Amelia, do you want to add anything there all about that?
Yeah.
single parents?
I agree with Rob 100%. I think one of the things that was kind of what everybody got kind of excited about when they knew that, oh, I'm going to be working from home. That's really awesome. I don't have to get up at a certain time really, because only if I'm locked into a Zoom call at such and such a time or whatever. So we all of us became extremely relaxed. And so we didn't follow what were regular routines. One of the things that we do know in terms of knowledge that, you know, we kind of draw on, as Rob said, when we need it, is routine makes people feel safe.
Yeah.
And we need to ensure that our home, whether we live on our own or whether we live with just another partner or a whole family, that we feel safe. So even for those that are living on their own and feeling a bit lonely, don't give up your regular routine. Do what is the regular routine, because when the doors open again, that regular routine is going to help you walk out the door.
Yeah.
And it's important for us to understand how important it is to feel safe. I know with mums and dads that are doing homeschooling, and I've had a little bit of experience with this because I've had to homeschool 2 of my grandchildren over the last week or so, which has been a very interesting experience, an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old who were like, do we really need to do the work? I'm like, well, yes, it would be good if you did. And they're like, oh, but Mimi, you know, I would rather go and play or whatever. So I've had to learn how to coerce them to the computer. But what I did know was that if I set down a routine and I told them about it in the beginning, they knew that at, 9:30 we were going to work for 40 minutes till 10:10, and then we're going to get cookies and tea, and then we're going to do this. And once they knew that, their interaction was a lot better. It's not perfect. We've got to stop expecting perfection. We've put children in a position that is so foreign, and most of them, particularly the young ones, don't get the concept of this crazy virus that shut down everything.
Yeah.
Like, funny story, our little 2.5-year-old grandson said to his dad one day, well, Dad, where are we going today? He's 2.5. Where are we going? And Sam said to him, well, we can't go anywhere. The park is closed and the shops are closed. And he named all these things. So Henry turned around to Sam and said, but Mimi and Papa's is open, meaning he wanted to come and visit his grandparents. So, children are not silly, but they do struggle to understand the whole concept. So homeschooling is tough. And I also, we introduced, with one of our grandchildren, I introduced these little cards that it's like, and it says chill out card. And there's 3 different kinds. There's a 5-minute one, a 10-minute one, and a 15-minute one. And you get 6 chill out cards a day, and you can choose when you want to use them. So if he gets very frustrated with what's going on with his schoolwork, he can say, I'm going to use a chill out card. And I'll go, okay, is it a 10-minute or a 5-minute? Oh, I think I need a 10-minute one. He's 8 years old. I need a 10-minute one. I'll go, okay, 10-minute chill out, watch the clock, and he'll watch the clock and come back, okay. And that's one of his 6 used in the day. Because it's incredibly different for them.
Yeah, and so that sort of idea of a card actually would help them manage their emotions, wouldn't they? In that too, because kids are not knowing what to do emotionally.
Yeah.
Can married couples get those cards? Are they available for married couples?
Oh, I'm sure.
You could maybe.
Karen wanted 2 hours. Karen wanted 2 hour card. She'll say, I want to be away from him for 2 hours.
I was
Yeah.
just about to say, you want the time.
You which?
It is true. People find the emotions hard to handle, don't they? In this season,
Yeah.
emotions that come over people, and so children will be no different. When you know, for them, it's harder even to understand, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Very.
I think it's like even for us. I mean, I don't understand my emotions at the minute. I'm volatile. You know, it's. So I'll give you an example. Like last week, Joanna, the baby, had a high temperature for 4 days, right? So I knew. So look, people that know me well. Joanna's mom passed away 9 years ago now. So Joanna's had her daughter, and her mom. You know, your mom, I suppose, is your go-to person when something like that is happening. So there's part of me that always feels like, oh, I should be more on standby. Joanna refers to me as her mad, which is a cross between her mom and her dad. So it's and I don't know much, to be honest with you. We had 5 kids, and basically they all just grew up. I don't know how, but so Joanna. So I knew from her text that she was upset. So I went to Lidl and I bought a little supply box of jigsaws for the baby and frozen ice pops for her teeth, and I just wanted to be encouraging Joanna. I drove down to her road, which is just over the 2 miles mark from our house here, to drop off the box. Get a text from Joanna, is that your car outside my house? And I was, yeah. So she comes up the road crying because she's so relieved to see someone. Gave her the box, and then her neighbor comes out. So I'm like, in my heart, I'm like, oh, I'm such a father. I am the champion survival. I'm like, it's like, I kind of thought I was Robin Hood or Superman or someone, you know, all of those. I wasn't wearing tights, obviously, but just, I thought I was. So massive high. And then her neighbor, who's an elderly lady, came out, and Joanna's being she lives on her own. So she comes out to her drive, and Joanna's baby's on her drive, and they banter every day. And Joanna's all saying, like, this lady, she's like Tessa's grandma here, right? So she came out the door, and I went, oh, hi, just want to say hello to you. And it's great. Listen, thanks a million for being the grandmother when we can't get down. And she went, oh, I'm having a great time, and I love the baby, and it's fantastic. And then she looks at me and goes, she won't know you when all this is over. She's going to make strange.
Oh.
I gutted. It's like I went from being here to, and I couldn't get it out of my head.
Oh.
So the whole and that on a normal day, I just shake it off. But just because where we are, I was like, so emotions are really, and that's what I was saying about earlier. So in my head, I had to capture the thought, which was, what do you think about it? The woman said that, just by way of conversation. But I took the whole thing on. She's right. You know, my granddaughters won't know me. They're going to grow up and they won't know who their granddad was, and they won't know their nana, and they're just not going to know. So I know when I talk to people about emotions, I'm not saying we're invincible and we're above all that, and we've trained that out of us, or we're pastors and we don't feel sadness or we don't feel loneliness. Like there's a great line in The Merchant of Venice where Shylock says, like, if you cut me, I'll bleed. And honestly, so I'm learning a piece about me that I'm so emotional that it's that you really got to watch it, because if it goes, you know, unchallenged emotion can get you into places where you don't want to be, you know, for a life. It's not a great space. So I think it's good, you know, to keep kids in that the routine is a way of, like, when I'm not safe, I'm very emotional. So there was that woman challenged my safety as a grandfather. I was like, whoa, that's so. But what brought me back was don't be ridiculous. Like, this is, you know, Tess loves you. She knows you. She doesn't know whether I'm Rob, Bob, or Robert, though. That's the problem. Actually, just bad confusion. They call me Bobby Boo, so maybe that's the one that will cover it all.
Yeah.
I think it's true, though, isn't it? If you've got emotions like that, and as we're saying, a lot of us do. It doesn't matter who you are. In all honesty, this situation affects everybody, and affects everybody emotionally. At the end of the day, everybody's got different responses to this, and it is good to be able to get them out and be real about them. There's no, you know, we would like to hope that we're real even within church and what we're saying about how we're feeling too. And some days are hard. Well, there's days that are, you think, oh yeah, I'm okay. Other days when you want to smash a plate for no particular reason.
Okay.
But I think, it's helping people understand that that's normal in where we are. And if it goes to a point where it's becoming very difficult and you're like that, what do you actually do? And that's where you would need to reach out and try and get some other sort of help. And there is even helplines during this crisis for people, which we will be putting up some numbers for that at the end of tonight. But we'll talk about that in a bit later. But I do think, would you say that's a fair comment? People need to go, if it's very difficult, they need to reach out and not keep the stuff within themselves, but ask for help.
Yes. I think what, certainly for me, what I didn't realise was that once we went into lockdown, I didn't expect to feel a sense of loss. So I was, not driving to the college to teach anymore. I wasn't going to the shopping mall to go shopping. I couldn't go to, for us girls, I couldn't go to the nail bar. I absolutely almost lost it if I thought, Rob, it's important, that nail bar. That's therapy. I almost like, oh my goodness, if my hairdresser shuts down. There were so many things that were everyday things that were stopped, that were gone. So when I actually sat and had a little chat with myself, I realised I was feeling this sense of loss. And that's okay. But it's like, okay, so now what do I do with it? And so there were, knowing what I know and sort of figuring out, okay, I knew that I had to come up with some solutions. So I had to have a plan A, B, and C. What was I going to do about the nails? What was I going to do about hair? What was I going to do about not being able to go shopping, etc.? And I think that's something that kind of happened. And we were all like, oh my goodness, what do I do now?
Yeah, that's good.
Galia, is it almost like a grief, isn't it? It's nearly a collective grief that everybody has about a loss, isn't it? It's like
Yes, 100%. I agree that I think what we are seeing is collective grief. I was talking with a group of psychologists yesterday, and we were discussing how is this going to change therapy in terms of how we manage therapy for the future, because we are faced with major trauma, as in what people are seeing on the television and via all sorts of media outlets, actually watching people die, and also this whole sense of loss and grief from this, because most people think about grief if someone passes away or if someone leaves the family for some reason, or people don't think about day-to-day issues as being a loss. And so what we're seeing globally is a huge amount of loss. And we're watching it across the complete world. It's not just our backyard, it's everywhere. And so that's another area where we've got to be really careful how we manage what we watch, what we listen to, and especially with children, because it's really quite traumatizing.
Yeah. No, that's really good.
I think
that's really
in the first couple of weeks, I like watching the news. I like politics and just keeping abreast of everything that's happening. And I found myself nearly every news bulletin watching it to do, and now I am hardly actually watching. I haven't watched News Today yet, and I don't think I watched it yesterday. And because all that stuff, and because a lot of it, is not good news. It reinforces a very negative mindset and feeling that we come under, and then that obviously in turn affects everything that we do in our behaviors, and that. So I think it's really important, as you say, Gaelia, to be careful what we watch, and or even how much of, say, it's not wrong to watch the news, but how are you consumed by it? So at morning, dinner, lunchtime, afternoon update, evening time news, late news, those sort of things, it'll just continually feed. And for some people, it just feeds fear, feeds uncertainty, feeds all kinds of stuff that aren't healthy for us. So it's not, don't watch the news, but just be careful the amount of stuff like that that you allow yourself to sit in front of.
Yes.
I think too,
the fear,
when you're talking about, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that the fear. Sorry, Helen. The fear thing. So like exactly. My dad would sit in they have a little box room. He watches television, and when because myself and Karen are their principal. My house, praise God, I always say it's just a song away from Mum and Dad's. If I get into my car and turn on a song, it will not be over by the time I get to their house. So I always say to them, don't be afraid, we're a song away. So, so we come down to see what you want in the shop, and Mama be at the front door, like talking to us in the garden. And then I'd hear Dad from the TV room going, 650 deaths in Italy, 740 deaths in Spain. And I said, is Dad playing COVID bingo again? Because he's calling out these numbers. And it's like, it just becomes so overwhelming. And then the other day he was standing at the door, and he has Sky News app on his phone. And when the Sky News news flash comes in, his phone goes, whatever, right? And Mammy goes, oh, someone else died.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But it is.
Yeah. So we just got to protect ourselves. Like we got to, it's like when the scripture says, put on your helmet of salvation and protect your head from this constant stuff, and those fiery darts where your faith would kind of go, listen, because minding your mental health is actually proactive. It doesn't just happen. It's you've actually got to get up and do something about it. Like I was saying, maintenance of anything means you have to examine it, find out what's wrong with it, and then do something to fix it. And most of us just expect our mental health to take this hammering of COVID-19 and be all right. We won't be. It's like like driving a car through the worst muddy field ever and expecting to be clean on the other side. So we gotta do something about it. So that's why this is brilliant, that your church is kind of going, look, first stop, let's talk about it. Let's put it out there and discuss it. If anyone is in a bit more serious trouble, maybe you need to talk to someone. And look, I'm going to tell you this: if anyone wants to talk to me, I'm available. So you can put that on your church kind of support system. Because we got to get talk. We've got to get it out of here and out of here. And it's smaller when everyone's looking at it. It just is. This is less scary.
Yeah. I think that's really good. That's great, because one of the other things people are interested in hearing about is a bit what you're saying. It's looking after ourselves and good practices, and really in that it's looking after our mental health and taking that seriously. And you're right, so many times in life we let things come at us, but we don't actually sit down and address it, think about it, deal with it. And for people who, even at this time, as you started to say earlier, Bob, have lost jobs, who are on furlough, who are uncertain of what goes back in that side of things, there's a lot of uncertainty as well. So what are some of the good things we can help ourselves in looking at all of that instead of avoiding it? We need to pay attention to even what we think about some of those things. Is that not true?
This fantastic concept I came across. Now I've only come across in the last month. Okay, so I'm a recent convert to this. So if everyone else has heard about it before, I'm sorry, but there's a book by a guy called Jim Collins called Great to Good, which is a real business book, and like anyone who's in business has read this book. And in that, there's a thing called the Stockdale paradox, which is this man Jim Stockdale, who was an American Vietnam admiral. I think he was taken prisoner of war, and someone said to him, like, who died first in captivity? He was 7 years a prisoner and he survived, and he said the people who died first were the optimists, right? Which kind of is almost counterculture to the way we believe and think. And what he was saying was that in a situation like that, we need reality, we need realism. So we can't make false promises to ourselves or to the people who we care for. So things like saying to your kids, in 2 weeks' time, we're all going to the park, that may not be true, because if we get a surge, in 2 weeks' time, we're all back into lockdown. So it's almost like the way I described it a while ago is when our kids were small, when we're waiting on Santa to come, it wasn't like, what do you want from Santa? It's like, what do you hope to get from Santa? It's like, because if sometimes Santa in our house wasn't as rich as the Santa that my kids believed in, so sometimes he didn't give her. But the realism helped. So I keep saying to people now, look, keep a sense of reality here. Don't be making promises about this is all going to be over. And even simple statements like, when we go back to normal, that's not going to happen. It's, you know, that like, so it's all changed. So, but there are some things that are certain. And for me, gratitude, if I could say, Helen, the thing I'll give you as my thing for getting through this is gratitude. There's always something great in the day. Say, I'm grateful for that. And I try and do it in the morning when I'm getting out of the bed. And when I'm getting into the bed at night time, I try and do it again. And listen, I had a crazy thing yesterday. I was doing gardening yesterday and a robin landed on my foot. And that had never happened in my life. I nearly died of excitement. It was like the most incredible thing ever. I was like, oh, this is amazing, right? And I was trying to take its photograph and send it to her. So, and I just lay on the bed going, oh, Lord, that's such a lovely thing to happen. It's such a tiny thing. It was tiny. And that, so, and in a day, there's lots of things. Listen, I'm married to an amazing woman, Karen. She just makes my day fantastic. There's about 400 things a day I could be grateful for there. We have a joy group for the church where the senior citizens, they make me happy. The kids make me happy. My brothers are full of laughter and fun. They make me happy. Now, if I sat down, my head will try and find all the bad things that happened today, the things I didn't get done, the people I'm scared of, things that mightn't go back to normal. Where's my next paycheck going to come from? My head will tell me all that, but I can force my heart to sit up in the morning and say, it's a good day. What are we going to do? And go to bed at night and kind of go, oh, man. So I think that gratitude, I think, might go to, and the rest might come from that. So there you. So that's me. Gary, what would your one be?
I would agree. I think gratitude is so important. But I think one of the things that I've noticed with a lot of people around me and even with ourselves is the fast pace of life that we were living prior to this lockdown actually didn't allow us, or actually we did not allow ourselves to stop. We didn't allow ourselves to stop and think about those things that are around us that we should be grateful for. The simple things, being able to, in my case, being able to go out the front door for a walk down the road. I'm right down on the river. I look towards the city. It's absolutely stunning. But most days you go for a walk, you do your walk, you do your exercise, tick that box, I've done that, instead of actually stopping and breathing in what is around you. I think just even for people who don't get that opportunity to, maybe there are some people, some of the sort of more elderly people in our world that just can't actually go for a really long walk or something, but just to be able to go outside and to actually look at the sky and breathe in the atmosphere. Because I think we're not doing that. We haven't been doing that for a long time, most of us. Most of us are up, out the door, running 100 miles an hour. We don't stop. We don't think. And I think, you know, Bob, what you've been saying, this whole, we have to make captive our thoughts. And our thoughts are what go rampant. We ruminate over what the person down the road said, like the lady that told you, Bob, you know, you're not going to know you. We do. We get it. That gets in our head. It gets stuck. We go to the supermarket. We can't buy flour. Stuck because I can't make the cake I want to make, or I can't do whatever it is that I was planning. Instead of stopping and going, you know what, I'm just really grateful we've got food. So I think that there's so many lessons that we can learn out of this space. One of the things that I've done with my grandchildren is they've each got a notebook, quite a large notebook actually, and each one's putting in there different things about this COVID season. And there's gratitude. What are you grateful for? And they write down the most simple little things. If we can train children to do that now, we should be doing that too. I'm taking a collection of different photos and funny memes and things, and I'm keeping it on my phone, and I'll upload it onto my computer at some stage, and then I'll print a book out of all these weird and crazy things that have been happening in our world. And I just think that if we can, it's for us to stop, each one of us, even when it gets sort of tight and messy in the house, even when, you feel like I can't do another day of this, just to consciously take yourself aside and go, what am I grateful for? What can I do? What can I do for someone else in that gratitude? That's really important.
Yeah. And it's the crazy thing I would often say when I'm speaking to groups, I'd always say everything we talk about is simple, but it's not easy. So it's like going on a diet is simple, but it's not easy. Like, it's easy, just stop eating, right? So I was joking with Karen yesterday, this COVID virus has a terrible effect on clothes. It's got into the wardrobe and made them all small. It's like, so you're when you're socially distancing from each other, you're in trouble. It's like, so to go on a diet is simple, but it's not easy. So the gratitude thing, I really had to I genuinely had to go, don't get out of the bed till you've said. And I don't, there's no big ceremony. It's in my head. I'm kind of going, because we're of faith, my gratitude always says, Daddy in heaven, I'm so glad that. And it's just simple, but it honestly, if I didn't, I get out of the bed like a rat. Like, I'm honestly, it's like my legs are paining me, my back is paining me. It's, there's nowhere am I going to go today. And just, you said, my dad today, we were talking to Dad today, and he said, now listen to this. My dad was born in the Midlands in Ireland, so rural Ireland. And we live in Dublin, which is the city. And he said, do you know what, Rob? He said, I sat on the bench outside the front window the other night, and I said, I breathed in the air, and it reminded me of the air in the country when I was a kid. It was pure. Yeah. And you're like, whoa. Yeah. And you just go, isn't that amazing that he found that space? Now, my dad's quite limited, and he can't walk far because his legs hurt him. He's 88, but he's gone, smell the air.
Yeah,
that's great.
Gorgeous.
It's simple things.
Yeah.
So as we get ready, just as our last question here, as we get ready to look at moving forward in some sort of way, down south, you've got 5-step plan. Your government's laid out for coming out of lockdown. What are some of the things that we personally can look at in our lives about coming out of lockdown? What do you think is helpful for us to start getting our minds into thinking? You said earlier about keeping routine in our lives was a good thing for coming out. So what else do you think would be a great thing just to leave people thinking?
So me and Paul will have to get our roots done before we go back out there. That's the first thing. That's the main thing. I think it's like, it's almost like we're going to say it again.
I mightn't get my ponytail.
I think for me, here's what I've said to myself. When we come out, it's almost like we're going to come out of bunkers after a catastrophic event, right? I'm not going to have huge expectations. So that's it's back to that Stockdale principle. It's going to kind of keep a sense of reality. And go, I'll wait and see. So I have some therapist friends who are saying, like, it's going to be incredible when everyone says there's going to be so much people want to talk to us. I'm like, not necessarily. That mightn't be true. And I'm kind of going, okay, so keep a sense of reality. A lot of people have learned skills now that have made a lot of what I do redundant. So people are kind of going, no, we're going to just do our training online. We'll bring them all in and we'll speak, instead of you speaking to 50 people 20 times, you can speak to 1,000 online together and we'll pay you the same fee. So it's like, so you got to get your expectations to the space where you're not disappointed. I've learned in my journey in life with the highs and the lows is that the only thing I can absolutely depend on is God. He doesn't change.
Yeah,
and that's
right.
That's probably where I focus when I come out of this. And I'm going to try. Listen, again, it's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. I'm going to try and keep my pace of life slower than it was before we went into this.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Galia.
And I'm going to go down. I'm going to go down and sort out Joanna's neighbor for saying that thing about me being a grandfather as well. That's.
There's a question come through from somebody on YouTube, and do young people will need help when it's time to come out of lockdown?
I think everyone always needs help. There isn't a person in the world in any situation couldn't do with a bit of help. We've been kind of told growing up it's a bad thing not to be self-sufficient. I think it's a great thing to be open to the help of others. So I would always say to people, like, it's not you're going to need help when you come out of lockdown. A lot of people would need guidance. Ironically, there are some people who are now happy because they don't have to go out. Like, the lockdown is their godsend. They're like, thank God, I don't have to go to work. Yes. I don't have to face that bully in school. The relationship I was in is now I can just tell him I can't meet him because I can't get out. So for them, this is nirvana. This is like, this couldn't be better. So it's a different situation. For some people, like us, myself and Karen, we love being in the house together. We're getting on great. For some people, you're with the person that is your biggest threat in life. You're in a dysfunctional, dangerous relationship, and family abuse, and so it's just so different. Paul, I think in that question, I think I would say people will. There's going to be all sorts of different types of help. It's always available. There's more available than people know, and certainly down south we have a yourmentalhealth.ie website which will guide you to whatever you need. And I'm sure there's one up the north as well. And the Samaritans, both north and south, they're what's called a signposting organization. They'll tell you where to go. So I would say if we can teach the people who we have the care of in any way to say that, listen, just check and see, do you need help? Don't even come out and try to discover that you need help. Just what's the harm in asking someone, saying, this is what I'm thinking. Do you think I need to chat to someone? It doesn't cost you anything. Just reach out. We can teach people like self-seeking behavior is the way we need the world to go. So it's so some people will, some people be great, but you're either a helper or someone who needs help. So there's something for everyone to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Galia, what do you want to say? Some things that you felt about coming out of lockdown just as we close?
Oh, I think what Bob said is great. I think the thing that we need to remember is be real about the whole process. Don't look for what we don't know. It is about what you know. So if what you know next week is that you're allowed 10 people in your house to have a dinner party, that's what you know. Don't keep expecting, as Rob was saying, we just can't allow our expectations to get out of control. And I think for most people, it really is. I think this is, I keep saying it, but I think it's a time to go back to that grassroots. It's just like, this is what we have. This is our unit, our family unit. This is my neighbor next door. This is my community. And let's look after each other within that. I think there is a reality. There's a load of research out there that tells us that we have that. And this is the time to recoup and recover that. And it can look different. It doesn't have to be the same as it was back in the 50s. And that's what you hear people saying, oh, I don't want to go back there. Well, no, we're not going back there. It's going to look different. It is different already.
Yeah.
So I think it's just really important that we do what we know and look to what we know.
Yeah, that's great.
Be still and know.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we've just hit the hour mark, and it's gone by very quickly.
Yeah.
And I think for those of you certainly watching on Facebook, if you've appreciated listening to Bob and Galia, fire a thumbs up and a wee heart, and just show the love.
Yeah.
And we would just like to say to both of you, from our house to your house, thank you so much for giving up your time tonight to come and share your thoughts and the wisdom that you both have in the fields of work that you're involved in. And we love you both personally, but our church loves you guys as well. And we look forward to seeing you sometime in person again in the not too distant future. So
just probably the other thing we just want to say is about, if anything has been raised tonight that's given you concern, or you feel you need to talk to somebody, we will be putting up on social media some numbers, as we said earlier, for contacts for people that you can get in touch with, helplines, different things like that. Or if you want to contact us on info@gracegeneration.co.uk, we're happy to help anybody who is looking for any help that we can give. And Bob has also offered to help people as well. So we're happy to do anything that anybody needs that we can help in any way. We're more than happy to do that. So please use those numbers, or feel free to contact us through any of this. Mental health is as everyone has said tonight, it's a real issue. The biggest thing we can be in life is real with each other, and together come. I love that what you said there, that some people are helpers and some people love to help, and I think and some people need help, and that is great, because it's so true. And I think we are all in this together, aren't we? So let's all help each other as best we can move forward. And look at there are many lessons we're learning in this, both about ourselves, and a lot of it too is about what God's telling us, even as churches, as we move into the future. All things will look different. I think that's a great thing and very exciting, really.
Absolutely, So a big thank you to both, and a big thank you to everybody who's tuned in on Facebook and YouTube. And I'm sure you've all, from what I see on the number of hearts going up, you're well loved, you two. And but also to your own people, you've obviously, I take it, you've been encouraged by what you've heard tonight. So this will be on our Facebook page and YouTube. So feel free to get the word out, tell people to have a look at it. That'll really help them and get the word out on that. So a big thank you from us.
Yes, a big thank you from
to everybody, and especially to Galia from her early morning start in Australia at 6 o'clock, and to Bob in Dublin, same time zone, but
so I want to say thanks for having us, and as Galia tell you, God told us we had to come. So it's been great, always good fun, and always it's great to be able to share your heart. So I am just, when Helen asked me, I don't think I paused for a second.
No, you did it.
Well, we love having you both. So God bless you in your own situations.
And thanks to Rick. Thanks to Rick for helping us through all this. He's been a legend.
Absolutely. So let me just finish off, and I'll pray for us all, everybody who's watching both now and at a later date, just for that. So Father God, we just thank you for this time. We've been able to talk and listen to Bob and to Galia, just sharing some of their wisdom with us about mental health and just our minds and our Lord. We're so aware, for all of us, we're all affected by this in different ways. But God, we thank you that you are interested in every aspect of our lives. And so, Father, I'm sure we've all heard something that's encouraged us. Maybe it's going to be of use to us both now and maybe into the future. And so, Father, we just commit our futures to you. We thank you that you are a good God, that you love us with an extravagant love. And so we just thank you for this time together. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, so it's a goodbye from the three sets of us.
God bless.
Bye.
God bless. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Mwah.